Hi, I'm Paul Tyler, and welcome to another episode of the Reimagine podcast. Laura, how are you?
I am doing well, Paul. It's great to be back here.
It's great, and let's see, it's April 7th, 2021, and our topic is actually timely because, Laura, you and I actually spent time with Sean Tian at the Hartford Business Journal talking to him about the future of innovation in Hartford. And of course, we talked about what the potential and the actual experience of actually placing interns with startups all around the world. And what better to do than actually have a podcast timed with the release of an article just about the intern program? And so, with that, why don't you set up the discussion and introduce people to our guests?
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you all for joining us today. We have a full cast with us today. We have Chereace Marcellin, Program Specialist at CCEI, Coordinator of the InsurTech Initiative and Associated Programs, Leland Holcomb, Lead Instructor for the InsurTech Experiential Learning, Entrepreneur in Residence at CCEI, and Customer Success Manager at Aureus Analytics. We have Alok Bhatt, second-year MBA student at UConn and current InsurTech fellow working for Chereace. And he actually, to my knowledge, works with a second InsurTech as well, but we're going to dig into that some more later into the conversation. And Andrew Tran, Management Information Systems student at UConn and also current InsurTech fellow working with Pineapple. So thank you all so much for being here today. I think the best place to start, Chereace, would be with you to tell us a little bit more about CCEI. What is the program? When did it start? And just kind of give the listeners a sense of how important it is what you're doing.
Yes, thank you for having me, Laura and Paul. So my name is Chereace Marcellin. I'm a program specialist with the Connecticut Center for Entrepreneurship and Innovation at UConn, and we inspire and foster this culture of entrepreneurship across the university as well as the state of Connecticut, providing UConn affiliated members with venture support, funding, resources, education, and anyone that's looking to learn or start a business. We're really there to support them. We launched this InsurTech initiative back in 2018 because we really wanted to give our students front row seats to all of this magic happening within the city of Hartford as it relates to InsurTech and this booming insurance industry. So we teamed up with the University of Hartford and we came up with this proposal where we featured an InsurTech venturing course where the students learn the basics and the foundations of insurance industry, all of the disrupting technologies, as well as strategies to finance and InsurTech startup. And then we transition them into an InsurTech Fellows program where they get hands-on learning, actually working with an InsurTech startup company. They get paired with a mentor who has had experience, either working for one of the large conglomerates or advising or finding a startup company. And then we connect them to all of the networks in the community so that way that they can eventually leverage these connections to get either a summer internship or a full-time opportunity beyond the program. So it's a lot of cool stuff that we're doing.
Yeah, I would say so. And Leland, you have an interesting story and an interesting history with the city of Hartford and your work within it. Tell us a little bit about how you got involved in this program.
Yeah, so actually back in 2018, when I was with the Hartford InsurTech Hub, we launched the first we had a cohort of companies that were here, and actually we were lucky enough to be part of that initial pilot. So connecting a lot of the startups with students. And so from there, it just sort of continued as they asked me to sort of come in and actually help run the program this year.
Yeah, that's great. And I have to ask from both the student perspectives, InsurTech is something that's been around for a few years now. Did you picture yourself going into UConn? I know we have undergrad and MBA, so it's different perspectives there as well. Andrew, tell us a little bit about, was InsurTech a new concept for you? Or is it something that you had learned about? What spurred your interest in this?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, prior to coming to UConn, and honestly, I didn't really know about InsurTech, and I even worked in insurance the summer prior. I didn't really know about InsurTech until I really got that email newsletter from CCEI about the InsurTech venturing course, and that really just sparked my interest and really opened my eyes to this great experience.
Yeah,
Tell me, Andrew. So you were working remotely for a company in South Africa. What did you do, and like what was the most exciting or part of the internship?
Yeah, awesome. I think one of the most exciting things is just kind of working internationally. The other week I was actually in an agency call with people from the UK, Britain, France, Matthew and Marnus, shout out to them. They're in South Africa, and then I was over here in the US. I don't know, it just felt really, really cool to have so much like agency and responsibility, and it just to participate in those types of calls. In my work, I've actually been able to like kind of spend like real money. And it just feels really awesome to have such responsibility and trust placed in me.
Would you have ever expected to have that kind of experience while you're in the Connecticut region?
Probably not. Not even in my time at UConn would I have really expected to have such a great opportunity like this one.
Yeah, it just goes to show it's when you put the connections together with the right people and the right opportunities, wonderful things can happen. Now, I guess from the MBA perspective, if you will, you have a very interesting background in general that I'd love to hear more about. But what brought you into this program as an MBA student? What experiences have you had that really kind of stood out so far?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. It involves a lot of things, it circles back from a previous question is that first of all, yes, I did not imagine that I'd be coming to the InsurTech program. InsurTech was not really something that I had not heard about, but while coming to my MBA and I'm pursuing that specialization in business analytics and project management, I had not really thought that I would come to InsurTech as well. But I was interning with CCEI last summer with Chereace and Jennifer and the entire team. And I knew about the InsurTech program, and I really enjoyed my time in the summers and felt like why should I not take it a step ahead and also like expose myself to the insurance space, and that's how I came to this. But I have a background in strategy and operations, and this is a place, InsurTech and insurance industry as such in itself is a place that gives a chance to startups, as well as there are a lot of incumbents that have been there for hundreds of years. So it's a good mix of a lot of people. So there's a lot of strategy and operations piece to it, where you look at the past, look at the present, and see what else you can do to keep improving the customer experience and going forward. So I guess that change and that innovation piece was something that really excited me as an MBA student who has a good background in business analytics as well.
Oh, maybe tell us about the company or companies you work for.
So as you know, Laura started with one of the interesting companies that I'm working for is Spyglass. And it's really interesting and cool to be a part of this conversation because Spyglass is working with Nassau. And one of the most interesting things that I shared with Chereace as well right at the beginning of my internship is that as soon as I started with Spyglass, like 15 days into starting off with my internship, I ended up presenting before the senior leadership team for the senior committee meeting, and that was pretty cool because I was just 15 days into the conversation.
And you did a good job too. You did a great job.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. I'm pretty sure Paul, you were there, but it was great. Just 15 days, just understanding the entire how the system is set up and then presenting it is awesome. Great experience.
Yeah, and tell us about the company. Like, where are they based? Where are some of the other clients? Do you know that they're working for right now?
Sure. So they're based out of San Mateo, California. That's on the West Coast. I am in Hartford. That is on the East Coast. So there's a time lag out there. Another interesting story. But right now they're working with NASA and a couple of other clients are in the pipeline. They're not very, very old company as such. So a couple of other big clients in the pipeline. We're expecting some good, leads out there. But yeah, I guess, it's been an interesting experience so far, and we keep to continue growing. Hey,
and Leland, I just jump back to you. When was the last time I remember sitting down with you in our building? When was that? Was that that was a
God? It was I don't even know anymore. It was the before times, though, for sure.
Yeah. So before time. So it's interesting. So your last job was bringing all these companies to Hartford, right? Now you're actually you had the opportunity to bring the talent to the startups. How has that changed your perspective of innovation locally, or how is it not? This is just an aberration, and we've kind of done what we could with what we were we played the hand well that we were dealt.
Yeah, I mean, well, bringing startups in is really where it all begins. I mean, you have to get them to stay. And the way that you get startups to stay is through the community, the value adds, and the talent. And so it's always been part of the strategy, I think, in Connecticut and Hartford specifically, to not just bring the companies in and then it's also to try to retain them. And I think one of the major things that and efforts that's been very, very interesting is what CCEI has done to try to connect some local talent, some young kids who, learned a lot, have benefited a lot from, the high quality education we have here in Connecticut and at UConn, and then connecting them with the great companies that we managed to get here somehow. And so I think the two things together are really interesting. And then on top of that, we have players like you guys who are continuing to give opportunities to startups, to get them out there, to get their message out there. And I think those pieces all have to come together, the marketing, the talent, the companies, the community, and then all that, hopefully from there, it can just continues to profound and grow.
Yeah, and Chereace, I don't know if you're able to talk a little bit about another piece, and Leland was talking a bit about the community coming together as to build onto the success. I love the fact that it's UConn and UHeart, and it's two universities working together on this. I actually don't know the background of how those two came together. I don't know if you're able to shed some light on how the two education, institutions came together to really make it happen.
Yeah, we don't want to take this all for ourselves here at UConn. We really wanted to share this amongst the growing population of students within the Hartford community, and be able to connect them to everything happening in the space. So this was really a grant that was proposed to CTNX, and they thought it was a great idea if we collaborate between the two schools. And it's awesome. We have two instructors teaching our InsurTech venturing course, Ken Goldstein, who is from the University of Hartford, and Mike Kalin, who was tied in with us at UConn, and he's actually the founder of Cover Technologies and InsurTech startup. So it's amazing to bring the two together. I think they can learn a lot from each other's perspectives. Very incredible.
Yeah, it's great. And to talk a little bit more about the community, it's interesting. So we have players like CT Next, we have Launch, we have, the insurers, we have the InsurTechs, we have the talent, we have all of this that comes together. What have you seen so far in terms of, we're however many months in after the before time started, and how has gone virtual? How has that changed some of the activities that you've seen within the program? Or have you seen the community change around this program to either support in a different way, support in a greater way? What does that look like?
Yeah, so the move to a virtual environment is definitely different. So instead of, being plugged into everything, being right in the heart of Hartford, now there's a little bit of that disconnect there. So there's you definitely have to work harder to engage the community, but I think this is an amazing opportunity because you can outreach to people around the world. I think we saw that with InsurTech Connect and not having to fly all the way to Vegas. We were able to engage a lot more of our students. Last year we were only able to bring 2 students, and now we had upwards of 12 being able to participate. So I think wherever that disconnect may be, I think there's also greater opportunities to reach out to a broader community and engage the nation and globe.
Yeah, reaching out to broader community, I love it. What's in the future? Is this program does this program double in size? Does it triple? Does it, Chereace? Where do you take it next year when we actually could travel if we wanted to?
Well, that's a goal. We're always open to growing the program as much as possible. It really depends on this amount of students that are interested. So, we would love to collaborate even more. And we've always discussed, partnering with more companies and bringing in more sponsors to interact with our students. Definitely.
Yeah. What's right now, if you said, what you need more of, is it more students or is it more corporations to sponsor the program?
Oh, I think we have plenty of corporations, but we can definitely use more in a sponsorship lens. I think the focus is more on the students because we want to engage as much of them as possible.
So, Andrew, from your perspective, you're a student. you're interested. What do you think, we could do? So taking into a Nassau perspective, we're a corporation, we're very interested in supporting InsurTech, ensuring local talent, getting the community to stay together. How can we appeal to more students to get them involved into this?
Yeah, I think, for most people, especially if you're in your undergrad, what you want to do is just kind of build up your network, be more visible, and to really get more solid experience. And I think this opportunity is great. And I think that really selling it on the ability to build up that experience, your network, and be more visible would definitely garner much more interest from students. And I think that would definitely make a lot of people much more interested.
Yeah. And Alok, how about from your perspective, what do you think it would take to get more students interested and involved?
I guess, the partnership such as the one with CCI is really a key element to it, because that's a good channel to get the students more aware about NASA's presence out here in Hartford. Already, a lot of students are already aware, but, it just increases the magnitude of that. Another thing that I was really curious about is that, once I had a visit to one of the startups that I was kind of curious about, and just that visit, just feeling that aura, having a chat with a couple of people for like 5 minutes was something that really got me engaged. So that kind of thing also, just getting out there and opening up to people and just talking to them about things that they're interested in could be another way to go forward. But yeah, NASA's really doing a great job, connecting with CCI that way. So yeah, it's really good to be a part of it.
Alok and Andrew, so I guess I'll put both of you on the spot. Maybe start with you, Andrew, and then go back to Alok. We'll give him a little bit of a break here. If I were to ask you in February last year, how likely will it be that you remain in the state of Connecticut to get the job you want? What were the odds, and how do you feel about it now?
Mm-hmm. Well, I might be a bit of an edge case. The summer previous, in 2020, I actually interned with the Hartford, and then I was really impressed by just traditional insurance in general, and I really enjoyed my time there. And thankfully and very excitingly, I actually did receive a full-time offer from them. So in February, there's a pretty high chance I was going to be back in Connecticut. Excellent. Just because of everything that was going on. But I think I can speak for some of my peers where, a lot of them definitely might not see themselves coming back. But I think to really rope them in, it would be to really push up and promote this InsurTech initiative, because people just want to be working in a fast-paced environment, and they want to be learning. And I think, this initiative and this type of ecosystem provides that.
Look, how about you?
I'd like to start off with, as I shared in the initial part of the discussion, that I never thought that I would be ending up, working for an InsurTech company or in the insurance space. And Hartford is really famous for that. So when I came to Hartford, I was like that, yes, UConn is a great school to be a part of, and it would be a great experience. But I'd not really imagined of continuing with Hartford. But as I said, I interned with CCI over the summer, and then I got into the InsurTech program. So right now I'm really enjoying that whatever I've learned and have experiences is a totally different domain from insurance is actually applicable in this domain as well, along with the skills that I've gained through my MBA. So definitely I'm open to something in Hartford as well going forward. And that's an interesting part, an interesting change, to be very honest.
And just to work off of Alok's point and tying back to the question of how do we attract more students, I think a part of our messaging is that this isn't just focused on insurance. There's also that entrepreneurship and innovation piece. And this program provides them the opportunity to work with a startup and learn all the dynamism that comes with working with a startup company. So I think that experience in itself is very valuable, minus just the insurance piece, which is also very exciting. But there's a larger goal here.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting. So we're lucky enough to know quite a few startups. And I'll say from my point of view, every single startup has a different way of working. And it's all so unique that you get into the mix and you're like, oh, I wouldn't have thought of, or I didn't realize, or I could have seen that, or whatever it is. It's so interesting because it's kind of like little glimpses into small chasms where great things are happening and big ideas are taking shape. So it's definitely an opportunity worth investigating. I want to hit on something earlier that was mentioned, was mentorship. So we had a podcast, I think about 2 weeks ago, and it was talking about mentorship, the value of mentorship. How do you find a mentor? What makes the relationship valuable? I'd love to hear, Leland, maybe from your perspective, because you have a very interesting background. What is something that you think could be added to the current Hartford Mentor Network, or how do we build off that and then use it as an attractor or as a retainer?
Yeah, I think first of all, it's a really good thing to think about because I think mentorship is massively important. Everybody knows that no one does anything meaningful alone, and often we all have personal and professional mentors that have gotten us anywhere, right? And so I think part of that connection to the community that matters is we have a lot of people in the community that are now founders. We have a lot of people in the community that have now have the experience as insurers. We have a lot of people in the community that actually have experience as technologists as well. And so it's the mix and match between those three that have been really key. And I think that another important thing is just trying to make sure that we match the students with mentors who will resonate with them. That's been another thing that Chereace really spearheaded in a lot of ways, and just making sure that they have the right mentors. And so what's key, I think, is just having the diversity of mentors in terms of their backgrounds, and then connecting them with students with similar interests so they can, shed some light on how things can go and help them from a strategic perspective, think through some of the major issues that you might have in a startup or in your personal life as you decide where to go or take in more information and navigate these experiences.
Yeah, navigating the experiences, easier said than done, right? So Leland, if you were going to sort of help, say, Mayor Baronin navigate the next wave of innovation in the city, what would you tell him to do?
Wow, real easy question. Thanks for hitting me with it, Paul. No. I think.
Oh yeah. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Laura told you in advance that I was going to throw that one to you. Oh, sorry.
If she had, I would maybe have a better answer. But no, it's a great question. I think that thinking about Hartford as a business is really helpful. Maybe. So anytime you have a business, you're always thinking in terms of return on investment, and so it's always about what you can do to You set up KPIs about what your business needs to grow, what you need to do, and what you need to expand. And then you set up, you make investments and you seek out returns on those investments. I think that if I were Mayor Baronin, I would just continue sort of trying to make investments that result in, opportunities locally for people to want to be here and to be here. A lot of things that we have are out of our control. A lot of things that we have are in our control. And I think part of that is just trying to take advantage of the existing community that's here, from a marketing perspective, just continue to tell the world about what we have here, because sometimes it does fly under the radar and a lot of it can be very low key. And then another part of it is just continuing to bring money, frankly, to innovation efforts, because at the end of the day, businesses will come if they see opportunities and they see opportunities for return on investment and they see a place actually invest in them. Because a lot of communities are in price battles to try to attract companies. But what's not happening enough is communities actually offering up investment opportunities in companies, not just saying it's cheaper for you to be here, but saying you should want to invest in being here alongside us because we're going to invest in you. So I think any way that you can do that, whether it's opportunities to engage with students, whether it's direct capital, whether it's opportunities for business from existing industry in the place, whether it's just simply having a great place and high value, value of life, quality of life rather. Those are all value adds that drive people to a community. And so anytime you can continue to make investments, I think that's the key. Just keep investing.
Yeah, no. Investments are key, and that's been a focus of Laura and mine for 2 years now, right, Laura? Mm-hmm. Hey, Chereace, okay, you're not going to get away with the easy questions here. So I know I think the Board of Regents is meeting next month. What do you tell me you learned about this program, and what would you do like to advance? Is it insurance in Connecticut? Is it entrepreneurial spirit? What would you tell them if you met with them next month?
There are incredible opportunities happening here in Hartford, and that starts with insurance, but there's ways that we can peek into digital health and advanced manufacturing, which we are already doing. So really, working on attracting those people, like Leland said, and making sure that, the city of Hartford is putting their money where their mouth is. I think that would be awesome.
So earlier you had shared some stats, and I want to say them again, right? Because we talked about KPIs, measure things that matter. You had shared that the program has engaged over 65 students and over about approximately 100 partners so far. And the partners include startup companies, mentors, and sponsors. So, I mean, talk a little bit about that, because it's impressive. It's impressive to hear of a community the size of Hartford, where we are rich in insurance and insurtech. 65 students and 100 partners is something to absolutely be celebrated. So can you tell us a little bit about, I guess or actually, let me change my question. What makes an ideal partner? So if someone's listening and they say, this program sounds amazing, I want to be involved, I want to be a partner, who are you looking for?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. That is something that, we kind of pat ourselves on the back for, being able to attract that many students and partners within just 3 years running the program. What makes a great partner is, we're focused on the student. So what value can you bring to the student? Can you provide them mentorship and guidance? Can you connect them to people within your networks? Can you provide them learning opportunities for them to excel forward? I think that's really what our focus is on, the students.
Yeah, that's great. And I always like to ask tricky questions. And Paul kind of started this, so Leland, I'll let you off the hook on it. But I'm curious, Andrew, if you had to make a guess in, normally I would say a year, but because a year is kind of, it's a little sticky at this point. Let's say 3 years from now. Mm-hmm. What is InsurTech in Hartford going to look like, do you think?
That is a really good question. And a hard one. I definitely
dream
feel
big.
But I mean, from my perspective, I definitely feel like InsurTech, especially in Hartford, will definitely just kind of I feel like personally that it will just blast off. I mean, from my eyes in this program, it's been extremely worthwhile. And I think this program is definitely going to contribute to that blast off, just because if you think about it, with a lot of traditional companies, there's that internship to full-time job type of pipeline. And for startups, especially in InsurTech, that pipeline doesn't exist. And I think being able to, give these startups local talent, it'll definitely attract them, and they'll be much more likely to stay in Hartford. And I just think, in addition, on top of that, all the things that Hartford is doing to attract these InsurTechs is definitely going to get them coming in.
That's great. Paul, any other tricky questions before I kick the last one out?
I'm done. They're all on.
I was going to say, you've dished some doozies.
I have one for you, Laura, but we'll save it for the next show.
Oh, great. I can't wait. So I asked a question to founders in a lot of sense, but I'm going to ask you all the same question because it's so curious to me. I always like to understand the people behind the purpose. So for each of you, and Alok, we'll start with you. What is your why? When you get up in the morning and you engage in all of these amazing opportunities, why do you do it?
I guess there's a couple of pieces to it. First is, why can't I make someone's life more easier? And we're talking about customers here, as a company, as a startup, we're trying to do that every single day. And for myself, I'm thinking that, why can't I better understand what people's requirements are, what are they struggling with, and can use my skills or whatever I've learned over these many years as a student and beyond as a student, as an experienced professional as well. Why can't I better use those skills to solve those problems and understand them better and do it? So I guess, that would be my top 2 points.
Love it.
Behind
Leland, how about yourself? What is your why?
Another easy question. Thank you. No. I mean, I've always been, trying to just figure out how to live a good life and just try to have as much impact on other people as possible. And one thing I learned pretty early on in my career is that it's actually very difficult to do something that matters with your life. And so you've got to continuously and relentlessly be trying to help other people as much as you can, because, it's always an uphill battle. And it's not easy to have impact, but I think that it's always worth, trying to focus on how you can do as much as you can with the one short, quick life you have.
That's awesome. Andrew, how about yourself?
Yeah, I'd love to talk a little bit about my why. It actually starts a little bit before I was born, but both my parents are actually from Vietnam, and they immigrated here because they really wanted to kind of escape communism and make a better life for themselves. They both, only have like a middle school level of education. And just growing up, I saw how hard both my parents kind of struggled to really put me through school, put me through college. I was able to like eat whatever food I wanted. I was able to like eat, McDonald's and have burgers and whatnot. And, my parents just didn't really grow up like that. So, coming here and going into UConn, I really just wanted to lay down a solid foundation and some solid roots for my family for the years to come, and really kind of help my family just get its footing. With my full-time job offer, my dad was actually able to be much more comfortable and actually like kind of retire early. And that's something, I'm really proud to do. And, that type of human type of work is something I want to improve on and keep doing.
That's amazing. Chereace, how about yourself?
Absolutely, yes. So I am passionate about working with students, helping them, empowering them. I think they are our future, and anything that I can do to help them achieve their fullest potential is very important to me. As far as running a program like the InsurTech initiative, my mom also immigrated here. Both me and my mom immigrated here when I was very little, and she started her own insurance company. So for me, running this program, leading this program is full circle, and I get the best of both worlds, being able to work with students and being a part of this amazing industry.
Yeah, that's amazing.
I think we should have started that with that question, Laura.
I always ask the question because the answers are so fascinating. And you're right. Maybe we will start the next one with the question because, we could go for another 45 minutes based on what you all just said.
Yeah. Hey, this was terrific. For Chereace, thanks so much for what you've done. The program, we want to thank you for letting us be part of your program, and I know Laura's worked hard to make it a success with these startups, and just thank all of you. Laura, anything else?
I guess if someone wants to learn more about the program, how should they get in touch with you, Chereace?
Absolutely. Well, I'm available by email or LinkedIn. I think LinkedIn is easier because you can, send out the links. But you can contact me, Chereace, CHEREACE.Marcellin, MARCELLIN @UConn.edu. And I am on LinkedIn.com/IN/Chereace W. Marcellin.
Excellent.
Very
all
nice.
right.
Give the whole details.
All right. Hey, well, thanks so much. And for those listening, listen, appreciate any and all feedback you can. And if you are somebody who could sponsor this program, please reach out to Chereace because I think it's been a lot for students. It's been a lot for the startups. And I think especially during a strange time like COVID, it's made a real impact on a lot of people's lives. So thanks so much. Tune again next week, and we'll see you then.
Thank you for having us.